Title: My wife texted I'm staying at David's tonight, don't wait up. My reply at the CEO's party ended everything. The night it all came crashing down began with champagne glasses and polished marble floors. My company's CEO had invited us to an exclusive party at his mansion, the kind of gathering where everyone wore expensive smiles and whispered about promotions between sips of wine. I had expected my wife Laura to be on my arm, dazzling as she always did in a crowd. But instead of her laughter, I was left staring at my phone, at a message that made my stomach twist. I'm staying at David's tonight. Don't wait up. David. A name I knew too well. He was one of my colleagues, smooth-talking, wealthy, the kind of man who thrived on attention. The casual cruelty of her words hit me harder than any betrayal could. No excuses, no lies to cover her tracks, just a blatant confession delivered like she was telling me what groceries to pick up. For a long moment, I stood frozen in the corner of the ballroom, surrounded by chatter and clinking glasses. The irony wasn't lost on me. While everyone else toasted to success, my marriage had just collapsed in a single text. Rage bubbled beneath my calm exterior, but years of discipline kept my face unreadable. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. Laura had always craved attention, and she fed on it like oxygen. She loved the parties, the compliments, the way men turned their heads when she walked by. At first, I thought it was harmless, just part of her charm. But slowly, that charm became poison. She stayed out late, answered texts with vague excuses, and dismissed my concerns with a laugh. I ignored the warning signs, convincing myself she'd outgrow it, that she'd remember the vows we made. But this text? It was no longer a warning sign. It was the end of the road. I slipped my phone back into my pocket, forcing a smile when my CEO clapped me on the shoulder. He didn't notice the storm raging behind my eyes. No one did. And maybe that was my greatest advantage. Because in that moment, while Laura thought she had the upper hand, I was already planning my reply. The one that wouldn't just answer her message, but end everything she thought she controlled. I stepped out onto the balcony of the mansion, city lights glowing like scattered diamonds in the distance. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Laura. Don't make this a big deal. I'll explain later. The audacity of it almost made me laugh. She thought I'd sit quietly, waiting at home while she spent the night with David. That was the moment I realized she no longer saw me as her husband, just as a placeholder. But tonight of all nights, she had underestimated me. The CEO's party wasn't just another gathering, it was a stage, and I had the perfect chance to flip the script. I typed my reply slowly, each word calculated. Funny. I'm at the CEO's party right now. And guess who just asked about you, Laura? I hit send, pocketed the phone, and returned inside, calm and collected. Minutes later, the read receipt popped up. No reply. For once, the woman who always had something to say was silent. Laura thrived on reputation, on the illusion of perfection. To be exposed, even hinted at, within my professional circle was her greatest fear. And I was about to let her sit in that fear all night. As I mingled with colleagues, shaking hands and exchanging pleasantries, I could feel the power shifting. Every toast, every polite laugh, became part of my armor. I wasn't the man being betrayed. I was the man reclaiming control. When the CEO himself asked where Laura was, I simply smiled. She couldn't make it tonight. Prior commitments. My words were casual, but sharp enough for her to feel them if she ever heard. Back in my pocket, my phone stayed silent. No apology, no excuse. Just the emptiness she had created between us. I thought about the years I had given her. The trips, the late nights working overtime to build a life she could flaunt. The patience I had poured into a marriage that clearly only mattered to me. And now, in this glittering hall of ambition, I finally understood. She had traded loyalty for thrill, and in the process, gambled away the only man who ever truly stood by her. The reply I had sent wasn't just a warning. It was the start of the end. When I got home that night, the house felt different. Not because anything had changed, but because I had. Her perfume still lingered in the hallway, her shoes still sat by the door, but none of it held weight anymore. Laura's choices had turned our home into a museum of lies, and I was done walking its halls. Around midnight, the door creaked open. She slipped inside quietly, like a thief, expecting me to be asleep. When she saw me sitting in the living room, suit still on, glass of scotch in hand, she froze. "Mark, you're still up?" Her voice wavered. I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I looked at her, really looked, the way I had avoided for months. The guilt in her eyes wasn't subtle anymore. It was a confession all by itself. "Did David drive you home?" I asked evenly. Her lips parted, then closed. She shook her head. "It's not what you think." I laughed low and bitter. "Then tell me, what should I think? That you texted your husband that you're staying at another man's house for board games? A book club?" Her face flushed. She reached out, but I leaned back. For the first time, I pulled away. "You know," I continued, "at the party tonight, I realized something. I don't need to beg for respect. I don't need to fight for scraps of loyalty. I've already won the moment I stopped caring what excuse you'd make." Tears welled in her eyes. "Mark, please, we can fix this." But her timing was too late. The papers were already prepared. The lawyer had already been called. She had gambled, thinking I would always forgive, always stay, always protect her reputation. But tonight, she learned that even the most patient man can reach his breaking point. The divorce was swift. She lost the house, the comfort of my income, and most importantly, the image she had built of being the adored wife of a respected man. She tried to call, to text, to explain, but each attempt only proved the one truth she had refused to believe. I was done. Her biggest loss wasn't the money, the status, or even me walking away. It was realizing that when she finally wanted me back, there was nothing left of the man she once knew. Because the moment she chose David, she buried us both.